How do I know if I'm abandoning myself in my marriage? Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach and founder of SecureHusband.com, where I help good men get unstuck and start living from calm, clear, grounded strength. If you feel like you're doing things just to keep the peace in your marriage, but you don't feel yourself, you feel like you're just a shell of the man that you once were, this is abandoning yourself in your marriage. One of the common themes with the guys that I coach, and I know I personally experienced this in my marriage, is this idea of if she is okay in a good mood, I am okay. If she's not, I'm not. Right there is an example of self-abandonment, needing her to be okay for me to be okay. I just got off a session with one of my guys. He was talking about how he tries to avoid conflict, how he's very conflict adverse. He was saying yes to a lot of things that he really didn't want to. He would go along with things that his wife wanted to do with their marriage, things that he was not okay with. He did a lot of apologizing just to make tension go away, constantly second-guessing himself, overthinking every conversation. And this is so common in all the guys that I work with. And I remember this was such a big deal in my marriage because I would check out of my own feelings of what I really wanted, what was authentic and true for me. This is self-abandonment in marriage. So let's look at this through the lens of the Secure Husband process. Let's tune into what's actually going on inside of you. Just notice and get really honest, get really curious. We bring awareness to these moments where you abandon yourself. If you're feeling resentment and you say nothing. If you give up your own needs to make sure that you're not getting rejected. If you pretend sex isn't important just to keep from feeling rejected. This is all about more than the marriage. It's about not having your own sense of autonomy. It's not having your own agency in the marriage. Now, we try to people please. We try to escape this through numbing out. We try all of these different coping mechanisms. But what I encourage you to do is just notice and sit with it. Just sit with it, especially if you feel like, hey, if I just try harder, maybe she'll come around. If I do this or do that, she'll change. If I just be this certain way, she can love me the way I want to be loved. Underneath all of that is this core belief of if I don't be perfect, I will not earn affection or love or respect in this marriage. That's the core from where we operate. That's the root of self-abandonment. That belief comes from our childhood, when we learned early in life that love was conditional, that you have to shrink yourself to be accepted. Abandonment, self-abandonment isn't as much about your wife as it is a survival pattern. It's the pain of repeating it over and over in your marriage that has brought you to this point. Now let's lean into that pain instead of trying to run from it. Let it be your teacher. Get curious about it. Not critical. Don't shame yourself. This is not blame. You're not putting blame on her. You're not blaming yourself. It's not guilt. But it is noticing. What if you get curious instead of judgmental? Ask yourself, okay, why do I feel invisible in this marriage? What am I afraid would happen if I speak my truth? And what do I want? What do I really want? Not just what I think is allowed or okay or that she'll go along with. Start asking those questions. Maybe journal these things down. That helps patterns come to the surface. But notice your inner child, that little boy inside of you who just wanted to be liked. He's running the show. Now he starts to reconnect with the part of himself that he buried to try to keep the peace. He was trying to control. And a big part of being able to do this is learning how to self-soothe your nervous system. That is the number one thing that we start with when I work with my guys. Learning how to keep from being flooded. Learn how to control that physiological response, that tightness in your chest, that feeling like whoosh, you just swoop up when things happen. Okay, you learn to self-soothe. What happens now is instead of outsourcing your peace, this idea of, if she's in a good mood, I'm okay. And if she's not, I'm a hot mess. What happens now is you start to soothe that nervous system. You start to soothe that physiological response. You become your own emotional anchor. So when you practice nervous system regulation through breath work, we do a breathing exercise in our coaching program. You could do it right in the moment. But what that does is it gives you this opportunity to break that stimulus response that happens in terms of your nervous system just getting flooded. So instead of spiraling down, you're able to just stay grounded. And inside, what's happening is your inner child, inner boy inside, he sees you taking care of him. By you being able to regulate your nervous system, subconsciously, that little boy inside is seeing, he's got me. I'm taken care of. He's not spiraling. Okay? And that allows you to stop waiting for your wife to make you feel okay. And then you can start showing up for yourself when you're able to regulate. And then you're able to, in that moment, stay grounded. We do visualization exercises as homework with my coaching clients where we sit down with that inner child inside and we have that dialogue. And we give him self-compassion. We give him love. We give him empathy. We dialogue with him. And what that is that's your true self. That's your core self. That is who you were when you were born, before circumstances caused you to develop coping mechanisms. Part of the process is having dialogue with that inner child inside and getting quiet and listen, because he's going to tell you things. He's going to tell you when you have been abandoning yourself. He's going to ask you things like, why did you allow this? Why did you let me be subjected to that? Now you start to build emotional trust with that child inside of you. And that's the thing. You don't trust yourself at this point. You're still just trying to control. You're trying to manipulate the outside world to keep peace internally and externally. So what happens, you have that dialogue with that inner boy and you tell him, I love you. I'm here for you. I'm not going to abandon you anymore. I've got you. From there, you dialogue with a higher power, whatever your belief system is. You go to God through prayer, through meditation, whatever that works for you. And you get that idea of unconditional love. I don't have to earn this love that's bigger than me. And there's nothing that I can do that's going to cause that love to be pulled away from me, because that's how you're approaching your marriage. You're approaching your marriage. I've got to do all of this to earn this love. And if I mess up, this love will be taken away from me. That's why we talk about dialoguing with a higher power, because you get that sense of unconditional love, that you are worthy of all of this. So then you stop relying on everything else for validation and you begin validating yourself. And when you start doing that, you dialogue with that higher power to find out, what is the next action I take? This is where it starts to go from internal to how it affects external. See, we self-abandon through the actions that we take, whether we numb out with alcohol or porn or excessive masturbation or sexual addictions, or we get angry, we defend. There are numerous things that we do to self-abandon. Maybe you have a pattern of overfunctioning, trying to be that perfect husband to compensate for not feeling enough. Because if I was enough, I would get this affection, I would get respect, but see, that's not authenticity. That's attachment. So at this point, you take these aligned actions. Things like, I'm going to start saying no when I really want to, as opposed to saying yes to keep the peace. I'm going to start asking for what I need, not in a needy, manipulative, passive-aggressive way, but in a calm, grounded, secure way. Hey, babe, this is important to me. I really need this. You stop managing her moods. You start owning your truth. Those things are the opposite of self-abandonment. That is acting with integrity. That's acting with authenticity and truth. I remember in my marriage, I thought that if I stopped bending over backward and stopped trying to be perfect, I thought, she'd leave. But what really happened was she started to actually see me and respect me feel proud of how I handled myself, no matter what was going on around me. I was no longer self-abandoning. Take a few minutes today. Think of some things that you are doing in your marriage, in your life, where you're self-abandoning. What is loving to you? Not in a narcissistic, selfish, jerk kind of a way, but healthy, self-compassionate, self-loving. Maybe stop numbing out on alcohol all weekend long and take care of yourself. Get some sleep. There's things that you can do that have nothing to do with your wife or anyone else that are taking care of yourself. Start doing the work. Just start. Make it a practice. Build on it daily. Check in with yourself every day. In the morning before you're going, ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What do I need? What do I need today? Start treating yourself like someone worth treating well, because we tend to treat ourselves way worse than we would ever even dream of treating someone else. So when you can do that, what will happen is you start coming into your marriage authentic, with leadership, because you're leading yourself. And then from there, you can lead your marriage. And that helps fade resentment. It's not because your wife changes. It's because you change when you stop abandoning yourself. You stop betraying yourself just to be accepted. And you start accepting yourself because you are. No other reason. You don't have to have an excuse. You don't have to have a reason. You don't have to justify to anyone why you are worth love, attention, affection, respect. And then you can start building a life where you matter, and you start filling yourself up with so much love, self-love, that you're able to now overflow it and share that with your wife. Share it with your family. Bring that love into the things that you do in life, your hobbies, your friendships, your career. But you are going to be stuck in your marriage if you are keeping the peace at your own expense. If you need other people to validate you to feel okay, if you're resenting her for not giving you what you won't even give yourself, that's right there a sign that you're abandoning yourself. And it's time to stop. Be kind to yourself. Be loving to yourself. Be empathetic to yourself. That's how you stop abandoning yourself in your marriage. I hope this podcast was helpful for you. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a review. I got a lot of repeat listeners, but not a whole lot of reviews. And if you find this podcast is helpful for you, please do that. I'd appreciate that. And share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. And if you need help getting unstuck, you need that accountability, visit securehusband.com. Set up a free 30-minute consultation with me. It's just a conversation to see how I can help you. And I'll see you again on the next Secure Husband podcast. Thanks for listening.